Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. Today we've got a nice guest joining us, upcoming gigs in town, up at Turtle Bay with the Jazz Festival. Everybody Wants a Piece, his latest, and one of the things that's remarkable about him is so many cats that he's gotten to work with. We welcome to All Things Considered, Joe Louis Walker. Aloha, Brother Joe. How you doing?
Hey, aloha.
Thank you for taking a few moments.
Oh, no worries.
Your musical family background is something that leads to you picking up guitar at 8 years old.
Well, I was around instruments. My dad came from the South, Mississippi, and it's all around the music always. When my dad moved to San Francisco, where I was born, he sent me to a parochial school, Catholic school, and you could check out an instrument if your family signed for it, like a library book.
I like that.
And so I started listening to guys playing the guitars, but I couldn't check the guitar out because it was always checked out. So I checked out the violin because that was the smallest thing that was closest to a guitar. And then I checked out the accordion, because that was the only thing left. I never could check a guitar out. When I got to be about 9 years old, my mother, you could rent them out for a week or two at a time. So she rented the guitars until I got old enough. About 12, she bought me one. Just took on from there. And then my four cousins had a band when I was about 14. And I started playing with them. And then I joined the union when I was 14, actually. Left home when I was 16 playing.
It's an interesting role. The club, The Matrix, and you get credited as being a house guitarist there. I wonder if that role with the union helped in that.
That helped, but also that I was at the Fillmore area. I lived in the Fillmore when it was sort of like Harlem. Went to junior high school, a block from the Film Auditorium, when it had that dynamic. We used to have our Battle of the Bands there, and by me playing at the Film Auditorium and going there, basically when the hippies came, I was there pretty much the night the Mime Troupe had their first thing there. And Bill Graham took the Fillmore, and Fillmore was the original Film Auditorium. And then the musicians got what they call the carousel ballroom, and musicians couldn't run it, so they brought in Bill, and Bill called that the Fillmore West. The way I sort of became one of the guitar players, played a lot at the Matrix, was that I knew a guy named Rod McKernan. He was playing with the Grateful Dead.
Pigpen.
Yeah, and Pig was like the blues guy. I mean, serious blues guy. I mean, Pig knew his blues. And so he sort of liked me, you know, and Yorma and Jack sort of helped me out. And so the little group I was in, we played there, and then I played with different psychedelic blues groups. And so I just ended up being there all the time. And then when I moved in with a guy named Mike Bloomfield, I would sort of commute from the Matrix to the house in Mill Valley.
So I see some of these names, and obviously it begs asking you more about it. John Lee Hooker.
Well, I knew Hooker because I played with Hooker's cousin, a guy named Earl Hooker. At the Matrix, in fact, John Lee moved to the Bay Area. Then I know Hooker's son, John Jr., and Archie, and Zakia, his daughter. I know them all.
Willie Dixon, Muddy Waters.
Willie I got to know because he had moved to California also. Willie would come to hear me. I'd go down to Glendale and try to write songs for him. And with Muddy used to come to the Bay Area. And one of his guitar players became a real good friend of mine, a guy named Pee Wee Madison. Somewhere I went, Muddy was playing, and he said, if you get yourself together, I'm playing a 2-week run up in Toronto. He said, you come down there and I'll let you open up the old Colonial Tavern in Toronto, 2-tiered club. The band played downstairs and the headliner would be upstairs. Played like 4 sets a night. I got a chance to spend some time with Muddy, and it was time well spent. I got to spend more time with Muddy having dinner and watching him play cards.
Personal time.
Yeah, and then I asked him to show me something. I always tell people, you know, I was young then. I was like 19 years old, but I wasn't dumb.
Right. You were getting pointers.
My whole thing was when I get around guys like that is to ask questions and literally physically ask them to show me stuff and to tell me, you know, what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. And Muddy told me a lot about slide playing and showed me.
When you were messing around with Willie Dixon, you guys ever get to play that tune, Evil is Going On?
You know, certain things to me, they're like trying to repaint the Mona Lisa. There's no way I'm going to be stupid enough to try to play Evil Going On. I can play it, but it's sort of sacred.
I guess I say that because there was this band out of New Jersey, Monster Magnet, and they had a cover of that. It helped me get into Willie, get into the blues, learn about those things. It was a real bridge. I give them credit for showing it to me, I guess.
You know, I can remember being a little kid listening to Wolf and my dad talking about it, and then going to the Fillmore after it had changed over to the hippie era and going to see guys like the Yardbirds, then getting a record like Rave Up and playing it at my house when I was a teenager with my dad, and him saying, why are they trying to do that? You know, as a dad, it's just a different energy, different generation. But my dad grew to sort of respect that younger people were getting hip to the blues.
That's a great analogy.
You know, you go to the Fillmore like I did all the time, and those Bill Graham shows were very diverse. You'd have the Dead on the show with Charles Lord Quartet and the Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Waters. Or you would have Quicksilver and the Gary Burton Quartet with Larry Coryell on guitar and the James Crichton Band.
Bill Graham, we always hear so many stories about him.
Well, I can honestly say that Bill helped me at the beginning of my career, and he helped me at the end of his life. I'd already been playing the Fillmore, and then when the hippies came, Bill still put me on a few things. He's the reason I opened up for Thelonious Monk one time at the Fillmore West. And also, if you read the book about Bill, the last show that he ever went to, the last concert, I played that concert. I opened up for Huey Lewis that night at the Concord Pavilion, and when I went upstairs to get paid, Bob Brown, Huey's manager, said, Joe, Bill's up there. So I went up there, and Bill was telling me he wanted to put a concert on to help the people, I think in Sarajevo or somewhere like that. And he wanted some blues on the show, and I just said, well, you know, I'd love to be on the show, Bill. And then the weather was really windy. It was probably the most windy that I'd ever seen in the Bay Area. Bob had just said, man, you might want to think about flying. And I can just remember Bill saying, the pilot says it's okay. And Bob turned to me and says, you know, Joe, if Bill says it's okay, the pilot's going to say it's okay.
Right.
And so I drove home that night, and all the lights were out where we lived in Nevada. The next morning, woke up, and the first thing we seen that Bill Graham, they showed that iconic picture of his helicopter stuck up in the wires up in the PG&E transformer area. And so in that book, one of the last musicians he talked to was Joe Louis Walker, which was sort of weird for me.
To have those two sort of bookends and to have been able to be at the Fillmore, as you said, and to have your father's influence get you there and interested before it was Bill's place. Was your father equally impressed with your journey as it progressed?
Well, my father didn't really live long enough to see me. He was proud of me, but my mom, of course, lived to see me with most of the people. And plus, I got to introduce my mom and take pictures with B.B. King on several occasions. And B.B. King was like the Michael Jackson of her generation.
Sure.
And she just was tongue-tied and everything, and B.B. was a gentleman, so it was really cool.
Most important things that you gotten from your mom?
Well, I even put it in the song with Mom. She used to tell me, you know, it's this, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. And I believe in that saying. It's like Benjamin Franklin, you know, the world is littered with IQ fools. Perseverance, perseverance, perseverance will see you through. And I like to look at myself as not the greatest guitar player, not the greatest singer, not the greatest songwriter, not the greatest live performer, but when you put them all together, it's formidable. It's connected to the people before me, but it's also sort of like a pathway for people going after me.
There's a flip side to it. People, they've been part of the recordings you've been doing. We just had Booker T in the studio recently, and Steve Cropper worked with you. Other guests, Bonnie Raitt, Buddy Guy, Ike Turner, Taj Mahal, B.B. King.
When I ask somebody to do something musically, they know that I'm really going to try to make them shine. That's going to be my main goal. Some of the stuff you're talking about, those people play with me, be it James Cotton or Ronnie Wood, Nick Lowe, Branford Marsalis, Joss Stone, or Jamaica Copeland. I'm going to try to make them sound as good as I can, because the meter for a successful musician nowadays is their success in volume, record sales, people coming, how many people came to the show. But that's not necessarily the watermark of an artist.
Right.
You know, it's almost like getting in, say, the Jazz Hall of Fame or the Blues Hall of Fame or the Rock Hall of Fame. Well, the Rock Hall of Fame is how many records you sold. It's not how many people you've influenced, because you can influence somebody who's sold hundreds of millions of records and playing your music. You know, but they don't take that then into account. With blues and jazz, the criteria for being accepted more, I think, is your authenticity and how long you've been doing what you do. And I think a big part of it also is that there's got to be a little bit of rebel in it, man. You know, can't be too safe, you know.
Everybody Wants a Piece is a latest record. Joe Louis Walker has experiences that really shaped your life, but are a lot of fun to enjoy too. Hope you had fun recollecting some of them with me today.
Oh, I love it. Thanks. Hello, everybody. This is Joe Louis Walker, the Boss Talker, and I'm listening to my friend Dave Lawrence. Listen to him too on member-supported Hawaii Public Radio.